Alright, so next up, we're going to talk about movement to contact. Alright. So when we talk about movement to contact, there's two types we can be talking about, right? So the first one is going to be a cordon search, where a friendly force isolates and searches a target area. And then we have search and attack, a coordinated attack to defeat an enemy. When you think about cadet world and then when you go into camp, right? More often than not, you're always going to be doing this search and attack, right? So you're going to see that your mission type is a movement to contact. They're going to give you an objective and where it's in vicinity of, right? But the only information you may have is you may get a certain type of like the disposition, exactly what the enemy has, the number of enemy, but you don't have a set pinpointed location of them. You have an objective area of where they may be, right? So when we think about movement to contact, this is more so where you're gonna go on like at camp, right? You get a movement to contact mission and you're gonna get a further movement distance-wise, but the point of emphasis is being on ready to take on contact anywhere along that movement, right? So then we go over to this, right? You can move in a platoon wedge, platoon echelon, platoon line, platoon V. Those are just some of the formations you can move in your platoon, right? So then the control measures. You're going to move to the LOA, and then with forward, left, right, and rear boundaries, then you're going to start with movement to the line of departure. Once contact is made, you can then attack, defend, bypass, delay, or withdraw. And then for execution, you want your platoon moving rapidly for rapid tempo. Okay, so let's dial back a little bit. So when we talk about getting to this LOA with forward, left, right, and rear boundaries, that is to where, so we're getting our mission, right? We're in a patrol base, and we get the mission from higher that, hey, you need to do a movement to contact. This time, the 5 W's are what you need to do, right? So then you eventually get your platoon to get to an ORP to where they're ready to step off and then conduct this movement, right? So from there, you would have already disseminated which type of formation you want them moving in, right? So for this drawing here, I have a platoon wedge. And as you can see, there's a squad here, squad here, squad here, and then the weapon squad with the gun team split amongst in the rear with the PL in the middle, and then the PSG in the rear, right? So with that is if you as the PL told them, all right, first platoon, we're going to move in this platoon wedge on this movement to contact mission, and then the rest, right? The whole 9 yards. So then once we go into this, right? So we've already got away from the LOA. We're now moving to this line of departure, right? So we're in formation and we're ready to go. So now here we have phase lines, right? So in your planning process, when you're trying to disseminate to your squad leaders exactly what the movement is going to entail, you could use these phase lines to do a check on each of your movements, right? So then once y'all get to phase line PET, right, you should know an estimated distance of how far you've already moved. So then with these phase lines, it kind of helps to know, okay, once I get to this phase line, then the next phase line, we've already crossed this amount of distance and we've gotten even further and we should be this much closer to the objective, right? And then even the final phase line to know that, okay, if we actually crossed through the objective and we made it through this later phase line, then we know that we already passed through the objective, right, where the enemy was supposed to be. So just in that planning process and that dissemination process, those phase lines really help with being able to illustrate and really disseminate from the top down, really how you want the entire platoon to sort of visualize in their head as they're making this movement, how far and where they are on the way to this objective, right? So then with that as well, the main thing about movement to contact is you're in this, so for this one, we're in a platoon wedge, right? So then we're traveling and we're going to an objective that we don't know where the enemy exactly is, but we're expecting to take contact, right? So then if we think back to the battle drills, okay, so we cross this phase line max, then boom, we get to this objective and say we take contact from the front, from the right, from the left, from the rear, no matter what. One of those battle drills was a react to contact, right? So essentially, you're doing a movement, but then you're just prepared in your head to know that we're going to have to do a react to contact, one of the battle drills, in response to wherever this enemy may be in this objective. So then with that, it's really important that there's a putting an emphasis on knowing those battle drills of reactive contact so that no matter which squad is here, they know to automatically return fire. And then you as the PL, you then start quarterbacking it, right? So then I know, for example, like at camp, they had told us they were giving a lesson on movement to contact, and they had described that you have to think about economy of force. You have to think about really what you're willing to expend while fighting that first size enemy that you take contact with, because who's to say that there's not more reinforcements coming, or who's to say that's the only known enemy in the area, right? So that's why you as the PL, it's off of your judgment when that first squad makes contact to really go get eyes on and say, okay, yes, you have the firepower and we have that 3-to-1 man ratio to take on this size of adversaries and destroy them and then keep on going, right? And then even with that, think of economy of force. You may be able to take down that enemy in contact with, say it's 1-man, 2-man, right? So then you may be able to take that contact down with that one initial squad, right? We're thinking about that squad attack, right? So then we dive down to where we could just use that alpha fire team and that bravo fire team. We got the alpha fire team online, then we got the squad leader assaulting through with that bravo fire team, right? So with that, get in your head that when you're doing a movement to contact, you as the PL need that flexibility and that fluidity to really be able to comprehend that you need eyes on once they take that contact and once they're executing that battle drill of reactive contact, for that judgment to decide, okay, we could use this one squad, or hey, let's have this squad now get online and have a second squad come to the front and then be that assault element, right? While the rest stay in the rear and they can pull security, so that way you can recollect and reconsolidate into that platoon wedge formation and keep on going, right? Who's to say we get to phase line pat and we take contact right here, right? Well, our mission is still to get to objective Papa, right? So what that is say we take on the size of two enemy element, right? Boom, you decide you just need that one squad to perform a squad attack on it. Then you get back in formation and we can keep going, okay? So as the PL, it's your judgment to really think of that on a movement to contact. Like even for example at camp, sometimes we'd step off, we get to this LD, boom, take contact right there. Okay, so all of it is you have to be flexible and understand that you need to disseminate to the entire platoon that, hey, this is a movement to contact. Be ready to react to contact at any part of this movement, right? But then understand that it's your judgment, that is you quarterbacking to really call how they're going to respond to that and what type of force you want to use as you go through that movement. And that is movement to contact.